Hi gaming besties, Jay here. So I had a lot of games I wanted to play this year and did play, but honestly, I can't always keep up with the games I want to play and should play, and that's not even including the things I have to do to progress in the games I'm currently playing. I'm looking at you, Genshin. But gaming means a lot to me and is one of my favorite ways to pass the time, so I took it upon myself to answer the question, what if I tried to make getting through my gaming backlog feel productive, with bonus points if it's aesthetic? And behold, the solution to that is Notion, which I've used for the last 2 years to organize a lot of things in my life, including my gaming hobby. For those who don't know what Notion is, you can think of it as an all-in-one digital workspace that can basically be anything you want it to be. A to-do list, a diary, a calendar, or just a place to dump all of your Genshin memes or your gaming wish list. And they're also the sponsor of this video. So today I wanted to showcase the little space in Notion I built for myself to organize my backlog of games and also keep track of the mountain of things I need to do in Genshin on a regular basis. We'll get started in just a second, and if you want to create your own Notion, which is completely free, you can use the link in the description and or use my custom gaming and Genshin templates, which I've shared below. So welcome! We're here at my gaming corner, otherwise known as my gaming dashboard, and where I manage all the games I'm currently playing and will play in the near future. That is including Genshin Impact, but since there's so much to do on a regular basis with Genshin, I've actually made a completely separate and dedicated page just for that. Here on the left are actually the favorites that I have here in Notion, or pages that I just generally access pretty often. It doesn't include every page that I have here. Those are mostly hidden in the private section over here, but otherwise this includes the gaming corner that I'm mentioning right now, as well as the Genshin Impact dashboard that I'll show you in just a second. Here at the top of this page is just a reminder of what I'm currently playing, those being Genshin Impact and Pokemon Shining Pearl, the latter of which I've already completed. Right below that is a cute gif of Umaru playing the Nintendo DS, one of my favorite consoles, but more importantly, right next to it is my master gaming timeline and calendar, which lets me keep track of the games I'm currently playing and which games I do want to start soon. In this case, that's Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I've bought and put somewhere and should probably get started on soon. The cool thing about this is that you can pan to left and right and really see what I've been playing, but I just think it's a cool reminder of what I was working on recently. Moving down, we have my favorite section of this page, games I'm currently playing. That includes Genshin, Pokemon Shining Pearl, Tears of Themis, and Unpacking, which I started but haven't finished. Each one of these has its own separate page where I keep track of the status of the game, as well as the genre, the type, the console, when I played the game, when I completed it, the release year, and also a really cool progress bar that visualizes the amount of progress I made in the game. And it's just really satisfying to see that I've actually done something and finished the game. And this is all based on numbers that I've created for myself in terms of milestones for the game. In this case, it's gym badges in the Pokemon League. So if I were to update this to 7, the progress bar below would also change. In this case, I have finished things, so 9 out of 9, 100%. I also think of these pages as just a place to keep track of all the sub-mini goals that I have through the course of the playthrough, and I keep track of things that I want to do. In this case, things like getting Quick Claw or getting the National Dex will be my to-dos, and whenever I do want to add a new to-do, I just click on this button and it'll add a new one. Notion has integrated ways to create buttons to automate your processes, so in this case, I've created a button that creates new to-dos every time I click it. I also use this as a place to keep links and walkthroughs and guides that I need to access while playing the game, so I've just dumped a whole bunch of links here that I access on the reg, and it's also convenient because I can pull it up on the phone and just access it that way. Moving down, we have the heart and soul of this gaming dashboard page, which is my backlog. This keeps track of pretty much every game that I played within the past 2 years, give or take but it basically feeds the calendar that I've shown you earlier in the page, as well as the section on games I'm currently playing. Since the section, as I mentioned, is linked to the things above, for example, if I were to change Pokemon Legends Arceus as something that I'm starting today, I could go ahead, click on that date, and I would see it on the calendar over here. In Notion, this is what's called a board view, and it lets you move any of these individual pages into a separate column, just so you can see what's up with that and what the current status of that particular thing is. In this case, since it's games, I've actually categorized it by whether I'm currently playing it, whether I'm done with it, whether I dropped it, or whether I'm on a break from playing the game and haven't really done a completionist run yet. Moving things is pretty much as easy as dragging and dropping. So in this case, if I were to start Pokemon Legends Arceus, I just move it from want to play to currently playing, and it would show up in here. All of these games here are essentially things that I've pre-ordered or am planning on pre-ordering, or even those that don't have a current release date, with the exception of Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. Super excited for Haunted Chocolatier. That looks like so much fun, especially if you played Stardew Valley. We can actually click into these as well. So for example, Honkai Star Rail has its own page, and I have a link to the actual official website, as well as my best guesstimate for what that release time frame is and the genre of that game. There's also a year in review and a PC build part status section to this page, but because they're work in progress, we'll just skip over those for the time being. Moving on, we have our main attraction, the Genshin page in Notion that I spent way too much time building, but in retrospect, I actually think is really worth it because I do use this every single day, especially for keeping track of goals, things I need to do for builds, and just clearing my daily commissions. When you first land on this page, you're actually greeted by Paimon. One of my favorite gifts is right next to, you guessed it, another calendar that I made for myself. And this one in specific shows current events that are going on, goals that I want to get done within a specific period of time, also things that I need to keep in mind, including character birthdays. Each one of these events on the calendar actually has its own complete page, similar to the pages that I showed you previously in the gaming dashboard, where I'll just go ahead and make to-dos for myself. In this case, I don't have any to-dos for this because it's straightforward. It's just building Ito to level 90. But previously, and I do have a filter here to only show dates or events within the next week or within the past month. But even prior to that, I had other events that included some subtasks. I couldn't find an event that had subtasks in the calendar recently because the last one that I did have was preparing for Ito. But as you can see here, I did have a complete subpage that just was a bunch of laundry list items that I need to get done. Underneath Paimon is actually a link that takes you down to a section just for keeping track of dailies and weeklies. And so if I go ahead and click this, it takes me down to Klee, where I have a section just to tick off daily commissions, and I've done those for today. So we'll go ahead and tick all of those, as well as weeklies. In this case, I did do Signora, Child, Andreas, and Azdaha, and haven't used the parametric transformer because I always forget to use that thing. But when I'm complete with my dailies, I go ahead and close this little section out and move that into an archive section there. There is a template button here that I press on just for it to create the regular things that I have to do on a daily basis. Moving back up to the top of the page, right below Paimon is basically a domain schedule that I made for myself because for as long as I've played Genshin, I really can't remember which mats are on which days. So this is super helpful. In this case, this top section is what I call the domain rotation, which is a table that shows you for each domain which materials are available there and on which days for which characters. In this case, I'll just manually change it from Monday, Thursday, Sunday to Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll go ahead and see who I can farm for and what I can farm for where. The bottom table here is more of a higher level view of which things I can farm for when and for which characters. So it'll just show me that today, Saturday, I can farm for Philosophies of Ballad for these characters in Mondstadt, as well as these characters in Liyue and these characters in Inazuma. And right below the domain schedule is a live calendar that I've actually plugged into this Notion page, because Notion lets you embed web pages right into your workspace. In this case, I took my favorite calendar from paimon.mo and I use it to update events in that master calendar whenever they're relevant to me. Right below the live calendar is a section just for my mains. Each of my mains have a little link underneath them, which leads you to a build page just for them because they're that special to me. In this case, I do have a couple of to-dos I've been meaning to finish for Hu Tao's build and some reference material as well as her current build. This is also where I keep a section on just the roster of character builds I'm working on. Not complete, I do need to add some people in here. But right now, there's Hu Tao, Klee, Kokomi, Ito. Basically everything's a build in progress because you're never finished with the build in Genshin, let's be real. In Ayaka's individual build page, I do keep things like her element, her role in my teams, the status of her build, and just the to-dos for her, as well as some other goodies, including some of her stats, skills, trailers, just so that I can put them on repeat. Right next to the roster of character builds I have is a reference section where I also keep links that are helpful to me. In this case, I have paimon.mo, a bunch of maps that I don't really use, a Spiral Abyss guide, a wiki, and the Genshin optimizer, which allows you to kind of play with several factors that play into how your damage is calculated. I've shown you this section already, but it is just where I keep track of dailies, weeklies, and other long-term goals. And last but not least, we have our master table of every character in Genshin Impact currently that's playable, and also the thing I spent way too much time building. In this case, this table feeds into basically everything else in this dashboard specifically, but is also a great place to keep track of which characters I have, who I'm currently building, who I want to build, their ascension materials, their talent ascension materials, their weapon types, the constellations I have for them, and it's really pretty and satisfying to look at. So that was all the motivation that I needed to build this table. If we click into this, it's basically showing you a database of everything that's associated with Venti in this Notion page. And here's a section on characters that haven't come home yet, those being Ganyu, Yoimiya, Yunjin, and Shenhe. I've also included a little vibe section here, just in case you want to listen to some Genshin lo-fi jams. That's all for this tour. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today as I talked your ear off about Notion. There's so much more that you can do with Notion, but the gaming corner that I have and the Genshin page that I've made for myself are really two ways that I've made my gaming hobby feel all that more satisfying. I know being super organized about your gaming hobby isn't for everyone, but it does bring a little bit of joy into my day, and I wanted to share that with you. Thank you, gaming besties, for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.